Here is the fully rewritten script. What if everything the world celebrated about you was built on top of a wound you never got to heal? Most people assume that fame is the answer. Mickey Rooney had more fame than almost any human being alive, and it still wasn't enough to fill the silence. Born in Brooklyn on September 23, 1920, Mickey didn't grow up chasing stardom. Stardom found him before he was old enough to know what it cost. While kids his age were falling off bicycles and learning their mother's recipes, he was learning his cues. The backstage smell of sawdust and grease paint was his classroom. A toddler's accidental tumble into a spotlight drew laughter from an audience one night, and that single moment rewrote his entire future. But here's what nobody tells you about that kind of beginning. The applause is warm. The loneliness is warmer. His parents' marriage fractured early, quietly, like a crack in a wall no one talks about. And that fracture didn't disappear with the costumes and the curtain calls. It followed him everywhere, invisible to everyone watching. Because the crowd never sees what a child carries onto the stage. They only see the performance. His mother was relentless. She reshaped his appearance, rewrote his name, recalculated his future. And her gamble worked. By the late 1920s, Mickey Rooney had starred in more than 70 short films between 1927 and 1934. America adored him. Hollywood needed him. But nobody ever stopped to ask him who he actually wanted to be. Think about that for a second. Millions of strangers knew his face before he knew himself. He became a legend before he ever became a person. That's not glory. That's a trap disguised with a spotlight. What was quietly growing beneath all that energy, all that talent, all that infectious charm, was something far darker. A fear. The fear of being forgotten. Of being left behind the moment the laughter stopped. And if you've ever worked yourself to exhaustion just to feel worthy of the room you're in, you already understand him better than you think. His story isn't about Hollywood. It's about what happens when love and belonging get replaced by applause early enough that a child can't tell the difference. It's about the dangerous trade we make when we sacrifice growing up for growing famous. And it asks a question we should all sit with. How much of what you're chasing right now is for you? And how much of it is just filling a hole someone else left? Mickey Rooney's life was extraordinary. And underneath every extraordinary life is usually an ordinary heart just trying to feel like it belongs.